All right, so right now I'm using my abrasive polish wax on here, and I like to rub quite a bit on here, and gotta rub the wax in your wood blank. Gotta rub it in real good. I thought I'd have to clear that up before people think like I was just thinking. You think about other things, you're talking about waxing and rubbing your wood, but it's good to rub it in because you get the sealer in it real good. It also has that abrasive, kind of very small particles inside of this. And again, it's Triple E Sheila Shine. I mean, not Sheila Shine, but Ultra Shine. And I don't know if anyone would ever just stop with using this, but I wouldn't. Always go back over it with Sheila Shine, because it's abrasive. It'll leave your wood kind of coarse. So if you don't really want it shiny, this will still work, and it will seal your piece just as well. Okay. That's a rag sometimes I use, but I try not to use those stiff rags very often. Why? Because it's a little more dangerous. It's a little more cautious when you use this. Remember, these are painter's rags here that I like to use because they're still tear and they're easy to manipulate. I guess I'll go ahead and tear it. I was looking for my scissors, but this works. You see how easy that tears? So if you happen to get it caught in a machine, you just take your hands away, or it may rip it, and you'll be less likely to cause any damage as opposed to using a rag. Because if you use a rag and your hand get caught in that thing, baby, you probably lose your arm up in there. I don't know. I'd hate to see it. I don't want to try it. So with this, I don't have to use my mask because I'm not doing too much. And I don't know if he's close enough. Like I get close enough and you see the little smoke coming off of it. That's building up heat. See that heat? That abrasiveness inside of the wax is going to help polish it. That heat is going to help seal it. Okay? That lets that wax, that abrasive polish get inside the wood. And it helps protect it, of course. And you see, just using that gives it a pretty good shine. Just using that alone gives it a pretty good shine, but we don't want to stop right there. We want to do that. And what I do once I do it the first time, and I'm doing it at about 31 or 3200 RPM. When I first put that on, can you tell? Can you see that wax melting on there? See that melting? That's from the heat, which is good. Of course, you don't want to cause too much heat. Of course, the heat doesn't stay right here. It spreads throughout your entire piece because it's all connected. Once the heat gets to the metal, it's going to spread a lot faster. But you don't want your machine to get hot, okay? Hot machinery doesn't normally, like a car, it doesn't work well when it's overheated. You got to keep it cool. Keep it cold. And what I'm doing is you see the black, because sometimes you hit across the metal on your bushing, and it's good to go away because you don't want to bring this back onto your wood. So once you get here, sometimes I like to start it at one end, real close to it, and work my way back this way, and I'll go over it. So then it'll knock the polish that I put on it off of it. But if you go from here with this abrasive polish and then go back on it, remember it's abrasive polish, so it's going to take some metal off of it, and then you're going to bring that black coating onto your wood, and you don't want to do that. It won't be difficult to take off. But again, just like with the wax and the heat is soaking into the wood, we don't want that I guess you could say that metal residue to go inside of the wood. A lot of times if you get it on there the first time or so, you could just put some more of that wax on it, abrasive wax, and then polish it out. But remember, you have to start and go out and away. And once you go over this a couple times, that abrasive is gonna knock the stuff off of here. Because I've used a CA finish on this a couple times. I got a little glue on it, which I don't worry about it too much. Because when I use a sandpaper and stuff, it'll take the glue off. So anyway, this is the shine that I have. This is the finish that I have with just the abrasive wax. Now, and I like to finish it up just to make sure, and go over it again just to make sure I don't have any grit left on it from this. Because again, I want my piece to be smooth when I get done with it. So, now, it's Sheila's turn. Sheila. Anyway, so, it's Sheila's turn to get hot in the kitchen, or hot on the piece, right here. Just takes a little bit. I'm feeling it because it's still warm. See, I like for it to be a little warm. You know, again, the wax melts onto it, soaks into the wood some, and sometimes I'll let it sit a second until it completely dries. When it dries on the inside, not completely dry, but it'll start getting tacky. All right, but if it get completely dry, then it'll kind of peel off as you try to wax it. So, because I don't want my wax to initially heat up and go away, I'm going to slow down the RPM to about 2200. And that's what I love about this variable lathe, is because I could just turn this knob over here, which, if you're familiar with the rheostat or your dimmer switch on your lights, works the same way. That's a rheostat, and it works like the dimmer switch on your lights. So I do the same thing. Now when I do the wax, I like to get from the bottom of it, cause some even pressure going across it. Once it builds up on the end of it, I go back and then I put my towel over the top of that. And I go through those same motions again. Then I go back, see how it builds up right there on the edge. Then I lift it up and go to the end. Remember, I'm going to the end of it. Not all the way, because I don't want to touch the metal. I don't want to bring any of that burnt looking stuff onto my wood. So when I'm sanding, of course, I like to do most of my sanding from the top. And when I'm waxing it, I like to do it from the bottom. Until usually I get to the final part of it, then I turn it up, back up to about 3200 RPM. And then I just kind of go over real quick just to kind of buff it up and shine it up a little bit better. I don't know if that helps any, but it makes me feel better when I do it. See, this way, when I turn the RPM down, it'll warm it up some, but it won't cause so much heat to where I'm actually burning off my wax, because I don't want to burn it off. I want it to warm up and soak into the wood. We're going to do this one more time. As you see, I turn it as I do it. Of course, I can just go all the way around it, but I like to turn it. My excess wax that's on my finger, I'm going to put it on my towel. Now, let's turn it on. See how that build up right there? Then I'm going to lift up my towel and put it on top of it. Lift up my towel and put it on top of it. And I'll tell you the reason why I do that is because I found out if I continue to just go straight across and as I'm applying pressure, I'm going to kick off a lot of that wax. But I want to keep all the wax on. I want to keep it there. Was somebody calling me?
Yes, your wife.
Oh, okay. I got to answer that. I got to answer that, guys. Mama's calling. All right, I'm going to show you this. Finish when I get done. I let it stay on there a little long enough while it was getting warm. Yeah, it's a little warm. Look at that finish. Look at that finish. All right, so that's how it comes out. You saw how rough it looks. I'm going to get a piece. Let me show you something. I'm going to show you what that would look like before I finish, before I done it. So this is a piece of that wood. This is what it looks like. Oh, and I did spell it right. B-O-K-O-T-E. Yeah, Bocote, yeah. So this is the wood.
That looks completely different.
Yeah, it does, doesn't it? So then you get to see all this on the inside come out here. It looks like the grain of it was probably just like this. Looks like that. Anyway, this is what it looks like on the end. As you notice, all the material looks quite a bit different once I finish it. So I hope anything that I've done helped you out. Any tips on the tools and what it looks like on my last video, how I was showing you how you can tell that your insert is getting dull by how the wood looks when you chip it off. My son is getting busy with the camera, but this is my oldest boy. The last video was with my youngest, and he's kind of sporadic. I never know what he's going to do. I just chose not to look at that last video because I didn't want to worry about it. So hopefully it came out well. This piece of wood here and this pen will come out well. And again, you can look me up on Handcrafted Pens and More on Facebook. I want to remind you that the proceeds goes to Beyond Brotherhood, which is a veterans helping veterans, and it goes to the Vine, which is an outreach program at the church. So again, this is not for profit. I do it for therapy, and I donate the proceeds to help others. And I thank God that I'm able to do that, because that in itself is a blessing. Take care. God bless.